Okay, so the first few slides talk about what is strategy. So if we talk about it, it's basically it's an attempt to achieve high level of performance in the markets and industries where the firm is operating. Okay, so basically it's to have competitive advantage than the competitors. Then it has some economic logic from which I mean the overall how the industry, how the external things are working or how the economy is working out. Based on that, we can derive a strategy which will be applied, and there is an organization logic that how the strategy will be implemented in the organization. Now, these two helps in evaluating and choosing a strategy that we will apply for ourselves in our company. Okay. Now, if you see, there were two examples given in the book. So Honda actually entered US market with an attempt to sell large and powerful two-wheelers, but they realized that it's not going to work out because US customers already had an option of HD and Triumph kind of companies. So what they did is that they started selling small scooters, and then when they had created a base for themselves, they were established, and they started selling out larger and powerful motorcycles, and that destroyed the big players. Only HT has survived till now. And then there was another company which was like a Yugo, and they had a strategy that they will underprice the competition. That is, they will sell the products or their cars at a cheaper rate than US other companies in US. But that didn't work out because there were quality and safety issues. Okay, and due to which they end up bad name, and they didn't survive beyond a certain time in US market. The third thing which is being talked about in the book is about Walmart. So what it talks about is that the in 1980s, in comparison to its competitor, Walmart had an return on equity of 33% actually. The strategy that they apply actually is like they operate or they locate their stores in relatively rural areas, in semi-urban or semi-rural areas. So what happens due to that is that they get uh, uh, that they get the customer base which want these kind of stores, and they are large enough to support, and that city or that area is large enough to support a single these kind of retail operations. So that helped them to charge a premium of 6% higher, which is higher than the other Walmarts in urban areas. So that's an advantage, or that's a strategy that they applied. Now they also have a very effective distribution network, and also inventory management system also is very nice. That they order the things when they need it, and not create a pile of stocks. Then they also operate their own fleet of trucks, cooperating with suppliers, which gave us 6 to 7% of cost advantage to them. Now, the promoter, Mr. Sam Walton, had led a very simple life. He had a truck like Tata Xenon kind of things, probably, and then also the headquarters looked like a warehouse. So, the promoter's lifestyle was very simple, and unlike a lot of other promoters who would live a lavish life. And then he himself motivated and inspired the employees, and that led to higher levels of productivity among them, and lower attrition rates. The challenges being faced by them are like by 1960 they had already exploited the rural markets. So the 6% that they were charging earlier was no longer an option for them. Now, so they had to move to urban settings, which had a lower margins, of course. Now they also had to introduce Sam's discount warehouse, and that also has a lower margin, and that was in response to the warehouse segment. So uh, they had to do that. And also in England, local merchants and community leaders, they actually opposed and tried to threaten the distribution network of Walmart. So they didn't want them to establish, and also outside US when they entered, I mean, it took a long time to earn profits for them. So Mexico and Canada, it took a long time. Germany actually acquisitions were divested in 2006 due to losses. So that's what I could study from the book. Okay. Now, coming to next thing is that what is the strategic management process that needs to that is applied. Thing is that a firm's mission is described, or firm's mission is identified, and then this missions leads to the objectives that the firm needs to uh, achieve. Okay, and these missions sometimes may help or may not help, or it can improve the performance of the organization also. Okay, because this mission actually guides uh, this overall objective that the company or firm wants to achieve. And then in parallel, what we do is external analysis and internal analysis. Internal analysis we do a SWOT, and external analysis is something which we are going to talk about in subsequent chapters, like the Porter's five forces model. And then we make a strategic choice which is applied at the business level and at the corporate level. So if you remember in the class, they talked about professor talked about the ITC as a whole group, and then it talked about individual businesses like the cigarette business, the FMCG business, the paper business. They will have their business level strategies. So that's what strategic choices at different levels, and then the implementation happens. And while implementing, there could be like some examples where the strategy actually emerges as they employ. So, for example, the Honda motorcycle case, and then Johnson, they changed the way they wanted to do. FedEx actually, when the idea was proposed on paper, they had something like he scored very less actually in the paper as a theory that this is what I want to do as the business. But then when he implemented that idea, it became a huge success. Okay, and a big company. So they have some figures also mentioned in the book. And then Johnson and Johnson also, it was basically an and Band-Aid kind of company, where they would give some thing as a B2B business. But then they what they used to do is they used to sell or provide talcum powder as a free side product. But people started demanding for talcum powder of Johnson and Johnson, and then it became a huge brand or a product by the company. Similar way, Marriott and Pez Candy also examples are given in the book. And I could relate it with a recent example of two-wheeler, Ola two-wheeler. Like Ola initially came as as a cab aggregator company, and then now they have uh, they probably tried to do something with Ola Money also, and which everybody else was trying to grab a share in the market, but then that probably didn't work out the way they wanted it to be. And then latest thing is about the Ola two-wheeler, which they have recently announced in the last couple of days that they will be setting up a huge factory in Tamil Nadu for Ola two-wheeler manufacturing. And so I think that is an emergent strategy which came out during this Ola's journey. And then all this leads to a competitive advantage. Okay, so this is what the flow of strategic management process. Now, the one of the key elements of this strategy is that evaluating the environmental models. Okay, um, the first thing is the structure conduct performance model, which was developed in 1930s, and it was the aim was achieve to understand the relationship among the firm's environment, behavior, and performance. Now, original objective was to describe like how the competition in the industry is and what can be done to uh, make a perfect competition. Okay, under which conditions perfect condition won't appear. And then what happened is the idea was that they would that would assist government to government regulators that isolating those industries which doesn't have a perfect competition, and then they would apply measures like how to achieve that perfect competition. Now, industry structure, which is like the number of firms competing in the industry, homogeneity of the products or heterogeneity of the products, then cost of entry and exit. Now, under this structure of an industry, how the firm is conducting, whether it's working on a price competition or it's a product differentiation, how it is doing it, and then the performance, like whether it's just getting a competitive advantage, disadvantage, and the social society wise also whether what it is trying to achieve. Now, uh, Now, this structure actually helps for the firm to conduct its own business, and then it leads to a performance. So that's the relationship between these three modules. So this table is also present in the book, and it talks about different industry type, that how perfect competition or monopolistic competition, oligopoly and monopoly actually happens. And then there are various attributes like these are how they these industries are defined, and then how performance I mean the conduct options from how it conducts the thing. Now, if you see, perfect competition will have like price taking. That means that the firm has to operate in a way that whatever the industry demand and supply is, according to that, they will have to play. And the example is crude oil stock market, and there's a competitive parity. I mean, there is nothing like you can have an advantage one over the other. For example, mm, the crude oil or uh, for example crude oil, so it doesn't matter whether we are going for HP, BP or Indian oil. It's all same for us, so they cannot differentiate among themselves. And then in monopolistic competition, I think the differentiation is the key. And the more differentiated product you have, it becomes a competitive advantage for you. And then I think majority of the companies operate in this area, because if you see toothpaste, shampoo, golf balls, automobiles, or any other like wheat, atta, or any other FMCG brand, a lot of other things, big companies that we have in India are operating, even maybe in the whole world, are operating in monopolistic competition region. Then then there is oligopoly, where a small number of companies are operating, and then monopoly is like one firm, and then the cost of entry is huge. Now, what I want as a team to do is that probably we can list out more examples and more related with Indian companies and Indian industry, that what fits into what. Then it will be helpful for us, so because that will give you a holistic approach to this analysis. Now, what the SCP advantage or used like to identify like when and how the competition in an industry is increasing and decreasing, and what needs to be done for an industry to become perfectly competitive. Basically, they want everybody wants an industry to operate in this, as a government or as a regulator, I would want that to happen, but it's not the case always. Uh, there's a disadvantage of this SCP model that's been talked about. And the thing is that what the strategy researchers did is that they turned this model actually upside. So instead of finding this list, like whether there is an I mean perfect competition in the market or not, what they did is that you tell us the attributes which will make help us to get a competitive advantage. Okay, so everybody wanted to enter and remain or enter into these three categories, because that's what the strategy is. Whereas the original objective, which was mentioned in the previous slide, is that it was to create a healthy competition or a perfect competition, but it was not treated or taken in that way. So that's one of the disadvantage of SCP model. Not the advantage of the SCP model as such, but I think the way it's being implemented, or the purpose of this model was defined in this case. And I think that brings me to the end of this small deck. There are more slides to cover, like the five forces model, and then we have to evaluate each of those five threats. Okay, see you in the next class. Bye bye.